It's Schneblyville Pirate Radio. Hear them radio waves aglow. Yo ho, yo ho, yo ho, yo ho. It's Schneblyville Pirate Radio.
I have a sticky note to remind myself, no laughing. I mean, it's not going to actually happen that way, but just... it's going to help keep it down a little bit because our first recording, there was too much laughing.
All right.
I don't know, but was there anything else from our first one that you were like...
That it's a big fat learning curve, and this is the second one, and it's completely possible to have some good podcasts, and we're just going to keep stepping up, and we listened to it, we back reeled it, and we listened to it, and we were like, oh, we got a ways to go. So it's good you're here.
Well, yeah, I've done a few podcasts as well, getting better at it. You know, the interview process and learning how to take space between words, not clutter my speech, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when addressing a question to someone else. But yeah, either way, I was just interviewed on the radio the other day, and that was, you know, I asked him to ask the question again at some point because I just kept blabbing on about what I thought I was trying to say. So yeah, I'll try to be succinct, clear with my thoughts.
Yeah, and we're wanting this to be like a space where it's no like performance anxiety kind of thing. Like sometimes when people are being recorded or whatever, they kind of just get this idea of like, oh my God, I have to like be on or whatever. But yeah, you're free to be off. Yeah, so we are here with Avery. I'll do the official train whistle. We are in a train car in Schneblyville, Colorado. This is the High Desert Pirate Radio, we might call it, and Area 420. And yeah, this is Avery Runner, who's going to be producing a festival next week, August 20th through 25th, 2025. And yeah, this is like for you to share about the festival, promote the festival. We also have Brian here, who lives in these grain bins, one of my neighbors. We're three relatively tired men who are playing around with talking about this stuff. So yeah, Avery, like I heard that like first this festival was called the Restival Festival, and then you guys changed it to what, Embodied Consciousness or something festival?
I'm not sure where that came from. Originally, we were going to use the Restival instead of festival. Restival kind of is a concept of a retreat festival, and we're definitely working in that direction with Embodied Consciousness. We came up with Embodied Consciousness because the other facilitators that we're working with, the teachers and people that are going to be presenting, including body workers and inventors and healers of all sorts, we came up with the concept that maybe, we're thinking about Restival, right? And we're thinking about Embodied Consciousness. We were throwing around ideas for a few months there. And Restival was definitely, even on the, when you go to buy tickets, it says Restival in the description. But it's also a little bit of a hippie movement in the US. There's a little bit of a connotation that Restivals, might be a specific thing. And as a result, we just decided to kind of pull back and call it the Embodied Consciousness Open Air Celebration.
Okay. So Restival, like often festivals are associated with like people raging, people partying really hard, substances involved, maybe some scandalous, wear. But you're wanting to like designate yourself as kind of different from that with the Restival.
Well, I guess specifically, I noticed a big difference when I was a raver back in the 90s. I started raving in the early 90s while I was at Colorado College, and started attending raves in Denver and some in Colorado Springs, but really the big ones were in Denver. And, after a few years, I started noticing the subtleties and the differences of music. After going out to dance parties, and yes, debauchery, my friends losing their minds on, massive amounts of drugs. Fortunately, I had the wisdom to moderate at that age. I was already in college and I had to study and stuff, but I still had fun. That being said, I saw a lot of my friends burning out because they were freaking doing too many drugs. And I started to move away from the club music and the rave music in general that was fostering that kind of like oblivious party lifestyle. Shortly after that, it was about 1996 that I got together with a crew in Colorado Springs. We called ourselves Space Dub Vibrations. And good crew, mostly VJs and video artists, and I was the audio producer writing Go a Trance back in the day. We had a live audio visual project. We actually toured Barcelona and all over, up to Canada for some festivals. And so, I began to hear the expansive qualities of psychedelic music in the electronic realm. A lot of techno is very hypnotic. I like hypnotic music. And there's conscious music and bass and, but generally, like, what do I mean by conscious music? I basically mean music that, yeah, it might still be raging and there might still be a freaking awesome dance floor, but there's a different energy. I started going to psychedelic trance festivals in Europe and throughout the US. Around that time when I started Spaced Up Vibrations, we were actually the first production company in the Colorado area to start doing any Psytrance at all. And it's evolved a lot. The music, there's various forms of psychedelic trance. There's really fast, crazy stuff, and then there's kind of slow, poppy, fluffy stuff. And then there's the middle ground. It's more like full-on Neo-Goa. That's the kind of sound I like for the most part with Psytrance. So that being said, all right, so I've been in the Psytrance scene for decades, and I've been all over the world. I really feel like the US scene is really based a lot on pop music. It's based on rock and roll. It's based on hip hop. And there's a massive current of bass music, which, especially in Denver, there's kind of a ghetto bass sound. And it caters to these parties you were talking about where, yeah, you go to a festival and you do a bunch of drugs that who knows what you might do or what it might be laced with. And, there's a point at which I had a child and I started thinking about longevity and considering the development of community on a more deeper level. And why am I partying? Why am I celebrating life? And, as a result, I also grew up here in the Crestone area. So I was introduced to Tibetan Buddhism, indoctrinated into Tibetan Buddhism as a teenager. I was attending sweat lodges with pretty amazing shamans as a teenager as well, and introduced to peyote and a number of indigenous entheogens, and so I was pretty well versed with consciousness, in a sense of what is that? We're still, science is just beginning to study what consciousness is. It's a very vague term. Mm-hmm. So the reason we're calling this event Embodied Consciousness is because there's been so much development in the spiritual, the metaphor of spiritual partying. There's a reason to celebrate. If you look back at the Greeks and the ancients, but specifically the Eleusinian mystery schools, we can see in the West, we have an ancient tradition of using psychedelics in a sacred setting that's hidden and secret. It was a secret society. All of the superheads all the superheads were doing some sort of concoction that it used entheogens in some sort of advanced way to make you have out-of-body experiences. And they would come back to society. They weren't allowed to talk about it. At this point, we're in the 21st century, and we're studying psychedelics, and we're studying consciousness, and we don't have we have religious people that are scared of that, but we don't have the inhibitions. Science is moving ahead. We're evolving, and we're thinking, and we're realizing, for example, the reason psilocybin's legal in Colorado for, in certain applications is because it's medicinal, and there is serious medicine there. I personally rarely use large doses, but I regularly consume microdoses of mushrooms for mood enhancement. Makes me feel better. Generally, makes me a better person. Makes me more tolerant and more compassionate.
Yeah, it's what's it called? Empathogen, or like it raises your empathy, and yeah.
So did that answer? Kind of. Let me go back just a little bit to spaced up vibrations in the 90s. So where I'm coming from is a series of festivals. We called them the chakra festivals. And we started them in 1996. And every summer solstice, we hosted a chakra festival. We were using the word festival back then. The word Restival wasn't even around back then. But we use this word chakra, and so like we started with the root and moved to the sacral chakra and all the way up to the third eye. And then I think eventually we had the after chakra.
The aftershock.
The after chakra, 777. That was July 7th, 2007.
Oh, wow.
But, so, I've got a lot of history there with just doing spiritual, intentional gatherings. But I'd really like to make it bigger and make it more popular, and make it something that people are open to, opening their minds on the dance floor and like hearing, listening, really, really actively listening, not partying in the sense of, oh my God, the drop just happened to you. Oh my God, I'm just, but listening. It's an active form of meditation.
I've got a question. The term Psytrance, I'm not even sure how it's spelled, and what the definition of the word is. I'm only newly introduced to it a little bit last year. And so a definition of that word, what would that look like?
Okay, so psychedelic trance. Basically, it's music for psychedelics. It's dance music for psychedelics. And there's a culture around the world profoundly more advanced than the United States. We have less Psytrance scene in this country than any other country in the world. Like, it's the most popular dance music in the world right now. And yet here in the US, we seem to be insatiated by ketamine music. And, there's properties of ketamine. It's a dissociative. It has benefits, but I'm just speaking to it because it's not a psychedelic.
And it's not really a party drug. Like
dissociation. It doesn't raise you to a higher place. It drops you into a hole. And you might enjoy that hole, but your communication is poor and you do dumb things. And there's just a point at which you just kind of have to take responsibility. But that being said, psychedelic trance is about a different movement. We're talking about embodying, like that energy that's coming out of the speakers and just rocking it through our soul. And, some of the international dance floors, if you ever get online and look up psychedelic trance music dance floor, you'll see some of these like Boom Festival or something like in Portugal where holy mackerel. There's stages at Boom for progressive psi, there's dark psi, there's full on psi, there's chill out, psi chill, psychedelic chill out, psi dub. Okay, psychedelic subgenres.
This is a good definition because it's opening me up to how to take it in a little bit, to get a little clue of a definition. So appreciate that.
Yeah.
So awakening is such a cliche term these days, very overused. That's what we kind of do, right? Is we just use words until they're completely dead. But it sounds like the vision you have for the Restival is that it's going to be somewhat of like a awakening or healing experience for people that are like wanting to do that in that kind of setting. Say more about like just what people can expect? Or I saw a little bit of like the lineup. It seems like you put a lot of energy into creating an artful flow for it. So yeah.
Well, yeah, naturally we've been talking about the dance side of things. It was a really important friend of mine, a psychologist, a hypnotherapist, in fact, from Albuquerque. His nickname was Dr. Blue, but his legal name was Dr. Norman Katz, PhD. One of my closest buddies for many years. Absolute psychonaut. He was friends with like Timothy Leary and stuff like that. So he's worked with hypnotherapy a lot. How did I get onto this subtopic? Okay, so he had this idea before he passed away a couple of years ago. He said, Avery, we got to do this thing called a party for your soul. And I'm like, what's a party for your soul? And he's like, well, it's when you get really into your body and then you get really out of your body. And then you come back into your body and you go back in. And he was talking about a 15-minute exercise that he presented at many festivals, like, I believe it, Tribal Vision, right? Okay, I'm pretty sure that's one of the festivals he did this workshop. So 15 minutes, had everybody on the dance floor lay down, talked them way down into a deep, deep meditation, borderline hypnosis, and then had them jump up and put on like a psychedelic trance song and had them just jump up and down and get all crazy. And then 5 minutes later, lay down again and do that a few times. And psychologically what happens is that he was describing something it's called neural annealing. So when you anneal metal, you're essentially pounding it so that you can strengthen the metal. You can do the same thing with your brain. It's called neural annealing. So imagine a new thought comes in, a new inspiration, and I'm inspired by it. And yet, maybe you go to a festival and you get inspired, but then you go home and you're like, oh, dude, everything's bleak and boring again. And oh man, I'm not happy anymore. Well, with neural annealing, we basically pound that happy neural network strength, the dendrite in your brain. We pound it into shape so that you can access it again in the future. Okay, so anyway, I tend to go on and on, but so what can people expect? Like I was saying, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're really just focusing on teaching, learning, getting in your body, shiatsu body work, qigong. We're going to have some presenters talking about visionary arts and spiritual expression through creativity. We're going to be discussing the use of psilocybin, magic mushrooms, in ceremonial and therapeutic settings. Optimizing brain and body function using neurochemistry, which is basically like the right foods. Rock Ridgway, local for a long time in this area, and probably a lot of people probably know Rock. He's going to be talking about crystal domes and elemental technology.
Is that like, okay, so I was talking to a friend out here who is like doing this sovereign citizen thing where he's just like removing himself from the American, system. But one thing he was talking about is like, we could use these like crystals, like a giant crystal to like power, a small community. Like you use coils. Is that kind of what that is going to be talking about? Or is that like...
Rock's work would be more focused on humanitarian efforts, where those crystals would be massive greenhouses. and we would have massive complex greenhouses, and people could live in and around them in the valley here.
Huh.
And all over the world, ideally. He has this idea of making ecologically friendly structures that are really easy for people in devastated environmental areas, like, after a hurricane or something like that, and being able to go in and set up a system where people can start sewing tents and just have a real simple design kind of. He's got this whole thing. He'll be talking about some of that. But yeah, his concepts are super advanced. He's really an astronaut in a sense, but he, I would call it elven technology. He's really tapped into the elven side of human potential. He's quite human.
Elven as an elf.
As an elf. Yes. So yeah, I personally believe in elves and fairies.
Well, we already know the places on the land out there where we're going to have little homes, We're going to have homes for the leprechauns and homes for the fairies, and we're going to put them close enough that, they can start to mingle, maybe hook up a little bit.
Love it. All right. So yeah, to move on, Yoga Nidra, we're going to explore threshold states of consciousness through breathing and meditation, guided meditation, that kind of stuff. This guy, Isaac Barbosa from New Energy and Alternative Technologies, super genius, used to work out of Sandia Labs. But he's such a genius, he decided to stop. He doesn't like working for the government and the military industrial complex. So anyway, he's a super genius. He's going to be talking about an invention he made called the oscillating driver circuit and how it could be applied to healing the body and essentially increasing circulation through areas of the body and people who have severely damaged broken limbs and otherwise, for a really interesting potential for new forms of healing that we're just coming into awareness of.
Is he going to have one of these like devices at the event?
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, and he's going to also bring out foot baths. So we'll have this device, and we're going to have this coil hooked up into foot baths, so people can charge.
Oh, it charges the water.
It charges the water, charges the body. And super interesting stuff, though. He's going to be introducing a lot of interesting concepts. So I myself am going to be talking about my business, Auratune. I do a sound healing, a sound therapy, vibrational therapist. And so I'm not just a dance music person. I'm also into like vibrational therapy and healing frequencies and how frequencies can be used to heal the nervous system and alleviate the body from trauma.
I mean,
You're pretty good on the sewing machine also.
Oh yeah. Okay. So Rock Ridgway, he taught me how to sew these tents years ago, and I took up some of his designs, helped him kind of fix some of the flaws because they were breaking in the wind. Took some out to Burning Man in 2013 to this camp called What was it? A Fractal Planet. That was the name of the I don't know if you guys have heard of this visionary artist, Android Jones.
Yeah, he's digital artist.
Super
Really
badass.
cool stuff, yeah.
So he had a big camp out there, and I was out there. I brought prototypes in out there one year and tested it on the playa to see if it would rip. And fortunately, we're clear. We got the playa certified structural design work there. So anyway, you were saying something about that. I've been running a little side business for building art galleries at Arise Festival and Sonic Bloom for 10 years, 15 years. But those festivals are no longer around. And so I own all these tents, a fleet of tents, and that was one of my big personal free contributions to this festival. We're just hoping to make our money back from the expenses, honestly. We don't need that many sales, but boy, do we need 100 plus sales. And we're currently not there. So, yeah.
And a lot of people these days like don't have money. Like, what is your kind of like view on, people that are hurting, financially to like want to get in?
Yeah. So especially locally here. We want the local community to know what we're doing. This is an international quality gathering we're providing for a very small crowd in Colorado. So we would love it if the local community would support us. In fact, Brian already picked up one of the local discount tickets. We have standard weekend passes are $140 plus a little bit of fees, and standard week-long passes are $180 plus some fees. But we have a locals discount for $70. Anybody in the San Luis Valley or in this region is welcome to, when they go to, the website, Embodied Consciousness, one word, Embodied Consciousness .icu, 3 letters, ICU. There's a ticket link right there on the homepage. Once you're in there, you got to look around for the password protected tickets thing and click that button, and it'll open up for a code. So anybody local, feel free to get a $70 ticket. That's pretty good. You can come the whole week and come and go if you want. For $70, though, that code is just
Well, you got to find a local guy, maybe. You let it, I don't know.
I mean, we got a lot of shiesty people.
I know. There's people, they'll probably hear this in Germany and be like, dude, I'm taking that. No, I'm going to let it out. I don't give a shit. There's only 100 of them. If you guys buy them, it's all yours.
There you go. Okay.
So that discount code, local 2025.
Local 2025 discount code. All right, So like your business with the sound healing stuff, like, is that something you like just create audio, or do you like work with clients directly, or what does that look like?
And that's an interesting question. I've worked on groups mostly. I used to have a collaborator. My ex-partner went to school for planetary frequencies. She studied the planetary frequency system, Rachel Doherty. And I was with her for several years there. And I'd already been doing sound healing and ambient work. And so we kind of did a fusion project called Metamyth. And there's you can find those recordings out on Spotify and stuff, but there's some sound healing stuff. But that was a collaboration, which I really enjoyed. But things changed, and I'm working solo right now, and I wanted to start a therapy practice because I started hearing about sound healing in the late 90s. Jonathan Goldman and others, a Boulder kind of a scene up there. So I was kind of experimenting with that stuff before the turn of the millennium. But really, having a partner who was super dedicated to it also really inspired me to be like, I've been thinking about being a therapist for years. And what it took to become a vibrational therapist was I had to quit drinking. I had been, I was, a DJ lifestyle. I love partying big time. But I haven't been doing it for a few years now. And it took a couple of years to study, get a real clear understanding of acutonics, placement of tuning forks on different parts of the body, meridian points and otherwise, so that you can activate the nervous system. And then what frequencies are you going to use? There's so many sound healing systems. I decided to study them all. And so I created a master chart of colors of light to sound frequencies. And so I've compiled, basically, if you look at the science that Hans Cousteau from Switzerland, he wrote a book called Planetary Frequencies back, I believe. He started it in the late 70s. I think the book came out in the early 80s or something. But super genius mathematician, was studying all the ancients regarding the music of the spheres. Plato and all the ancients talked about how planets made sound. We just couldn't hear them. Well, this guy finally actually took a bunch of psychedelic mushrooms in Switzerland and opened up to the field and figured it out. And was able to use, because we've actually got Hertz frequencies down, calibrated so tight now that we can use the rotation of the planets, you use the rotation of the moon, and calculate a frequency using the law of octavization. It's a universal law of music. And yeah, very interesting stuff. So anyway,
so are you saying you could like listen to the frequency of the moon? You could listen to the frequency of Saturn or any? Whoa.
Yes, in fact, the spectrum that we tend to tune to in the planetary frequencies system is between 125 and 250 hertz, which is kind of like the low mids, into the mids. But we're only working with one octave there. And the same principle would happen if I took, 136.2 hertz is the Earth year ohm. Okay, so the Earth year lasts a certain number of seconds. Those seconds, 1 hertz is 1 second. So you take those seconds and octavize it way up until you get to a frequency you can hear. Basically, just to give you an idea. So there's so many different cycles of the moon. The Saros period, the sidereal cycle, the synodic cycle. I think I've studied 6 or more particular frequencies related to the moon.
What do you mean by a cycle of the moon? Like, what's a cycle of the moon?
Well, there's the dragon's knot, for example, that's related to the ecliptic cycle, which is totally different from the cycle that the length of time it takes for the moon to pass from the top of the north node to there's all the, I'm going to confuse people if I say too much here because that's why I'm writing a book.
Oh,
you'll need to read the book.
Yeah.
But generally, I've gone through all these frequencies, not just the planetary frequency system, but also solfeggio, just general human body harmonic frequencies of organs and bones and stuff like that. I'm compiling all of that in addition to traditional mystic insights into astrology and into Vedic tradition, as well as a number of different mystical systems from around the world. So it's a very comprehensive book that I'm writing. It's probably going to be called something like Healing Frequencies, something or another.
Using the healing frequencies of the moon to heal your childhood trauma.
Yeah, so it's amazing. The other thing that's important to consider with that kind of work is ratios or intervals. And, back with in Pythagorean times, they would build a box with a couple of strings, and then they would microtune that box, and then they would have a chord. I can't even remember the name of the instrument, but basically a little mini chord. And then they would have to build another little mini chord over here that was in tune. And the way they would tune things is by perfect fifths, perfect fourths, or otherwise there's only a handful of musical intervals that have perfect consonance, where the waveforms are literally rippling together into a perfect node point. It's only, that's why I like electronic oscillators, because I can micro-tune my oscillator any frequency I want. I don't have to use a string. I like analog gear. I'm really into modular. I've spent half my savings over the last 15 years on modular synthesizers. But nevertheless, I'm building a modular synthesis sound healing rig that I can do micro-tuning for groups. I can do micro-tuning for couples. I can figure out where couples might be consonant or dissonant, and I can look at the frequencies, diagnose what the frequencies resonate with in the universe, what that might mean to them. I can't tell them what to think, but I can give them a lot of good stuff.
Is this frequencies within their speech, like how they're talking to each other?
For example, at Embodied Consciousness, I'll be providing a workshop about doing this Auratune project where I have 2 electronic oscillators that I micro-tune. I break people up into the masculine and the feminine groups, despite your gender, and one group creates one tone and they kind of like ohm until they find a frequency they all agree with. And then the other group does another frequency. And I dial those two frequencies into the oscillators, and then I look at what those frequencies are, figure out what they are, how are they related intervally. Like in traditional alchemy, different intervals actually influenced supernatural effects on the spirit and the mind and the body and the community. So I've been trying to get into some of that ancient knowledge around alchemy and understanding how those intervals between two notes affects the nervous system directly. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to be actually doing a workshop and talking about musical mysticism and the art of vibrational medicine at the event.
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, so the first, you said 3 days are going to be mostly focused on kind of this education, healing, awakening and whatnot. And then what is it? The next 2 days are kind of more of like a celebration of the healing and everything or whatever. Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful to have some, we tried to get a couple of these unique bands from Boulder. Serpent's Prayer actually had to cancel out. They're kind of a Middle Eastern, mid-tempo, tribal, awesome stuff. But they were going to be our sunset on Saturday. But nevertheless, we do have Bodhi Mantra coming, who is a looping artist, does all sorts of vocal and instrumentation. So we're not just electronic. We definitely have some really amazing sound healers like singing bowls and other instruments. There's April Maple, for example. She calls herself the temporal alchemist. Is one of the presenters who's going to be talking about somatic relationship to sound. But then we do move into some pretty sexy techno and stuff on Friday night. We're not going to get too crazy on the Psytrance Friday night just because, you know, we have time. We got time to burn here. We're coming in on Friday night. We're not going to go all night. We agreed with the town board that we're going to do one evening, that we're going to go all night, and we've been hashing it out. What are the decibel levels between midnight and 3 and between 3 and 7 a.m. and like how loud can we get during the day?
We had some issues last year with a woman showing up with a weapon, and we had
the heart nectar really ruffled some feathers.
Yeah, we had a pivot. We brought a little, maybe too much sound last year, so we're gonna chill that out.
Yeah, so we've been doing sound mitigation, have it dialed into where we don't have bass frequencies blasting in every direction or across the valley. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff to make it more practical, because we are in the town of Moffat here.
Yeah.
And we want to respect everybody here. I mean, like there's some folks that probably don't want to hear techno music ever.
Yeah.
But then there's some kids that probably want to hear it every day for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So you know, we're a community. We're going to do our best to really work with Melinda Myers and the rest of the town board.
Yeah, we got special permits and everything, so it sounds like it's all good to go. And Saturday night is going to be the all night.
So yes, Saturday again we get back in. Actually, Parker just got we had a cancellation, so Parker's going to do some of his. He's from ESLV Park. He's actually part of the crew down there. He's going to do some cardio kickboxing. To wake us up in the morning, and we're going to have a great discussion about the evolution of festival cultures, with festival culture in general, probably getting all the way back to those Eleusinian mystery school indoctrinations that Plato and all those guys had back in Greece and stuff, and how far we've come, you know, where are we going as a community. And yeah, then we're going to break loose we've got an amazing professional drummer that's going to be doing drum jams each day, Saturday during the afternoon, Sunday during the afternoon, and then some really killer side dub, which is more down tempo, real nice, sexy daytime music for some flow jam kind of stuff, and some drum and bass in the afternoon. And then, yeah, we're going to launch into some Psytrance, and we are going to ride that wave until Sunday sunset.
Wow.
And bring it down with some chill out music at the very end. During all that, though, we have a lot of our acoustic musicians are going to be in the sound temple. So we aren't just focusing on our one stage the entire way. We have a main stage that's pretty good, but we have a second space that's for sacred connection. That's more for, you know, meditation. We'll have some healers that might be doing some shiatsu and other stuff in there. We will have sound healers that'll be signing up. We'll have just an open forum for people to sign up on Friday, Saturday night, for people that want to just hear acoustic sounds and not electronic sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So we're making sure, even though it's not rock and roll, people, it's all rock and roll, baby. But just kidding. But, sound healing maybe it's not rock and roll when it's sound healing. Nevertheless, it's going to be some groovy stuff. And
Different flavors of rock and roll.
Psytrance is rock and roll.
Yeah.
It is rock and roll to the max. It's the new rock and roll.
I'm getting the sense, Avery, and I listen, is that you have a extended background in this festival life, and I'm just coming in now, and in this area, one of the things I'm seeing is, and I believe, is that entertainment is going to be brought to us more like this than the theater, the stadium,
like hyper local.
Yeah,
like,
so I'm really stoked to see you coming back into it. And I like the chance that I've been fascinated by festivals for many, many years, and really enjoy going to them. So now I see them coming to me.
Yeah.
And it is. So,
It's in your backyard.
yeah, it's in my backyard.
And just by the way, Brian has been building these amazing, like, Old West style booths and stuff that were given the old ranch look out there with a psychedelic ranch. I think one of the guys out on the ranch thinks he's a psychedelic cowboy.
Yeah.
And Brian built a puppet show. Stage? Theater, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have puppet stage theater out there, and there's a climbing structure for burning, spinning fire dancers, and a bar, and booths called display or vendor booths.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a fun little, the Aspen Dance Theater had these union built. You can see the stamped patent number on there and signatures from years and years of dancing. And they really took good care of this wood. So I was really blessed to find myself here as a retired carpenter with a stack of really nice stuff to work.
Jesus was a carpenter. But I'm curious, Avery, to hear more about you've spent so much time like in festival culture, just kind of like what more you can say about that. I mean, one of the things I think is really cool about Burning Man is that they do like I've never been, but they do the gift economy there. And, I've been to just like 2 festivals, aside from the ones that we've had here on the land. And like both of those were like, everyone is like in the spirit of generosity and like so friendly. Like you make so many new friends. Like, I'm just curious what else, you can say about all that.
Well, I find myself in a really interesting situation where, I quit drinking. I became a vibrational therapist. I'm actually now practicing, not full time, but enough, more than enough, down at Joyful Journey Hot Springs as a resident healer. And I'm developing clients that are really interested in what I do. I've kind of gone the whole circle a few times, and I'm beginning to see the wisdom of cycles and how things happen in this world. There's almost an aspect of predictability once you've gone through the ringer enough times. That being said, all right, so festival culture, I think, to me, represents the ultimate opportunity to find myself. It's the only place I've ever fully felt absolute bliss, which I can achieve that in a lot of my breathing exercises and my meditation. I try to maintain a level of bliss with everything I do, but life is hard and we all get grumpy sometimes. But the actual sense of timelessness that you achieve when you're dancing at a festival, especially, something like Boom, which is a 5 or 7 day festival, and you can select the stage you want to go to, and you can bliss out on the music that is just gonna, and this doesn't happen with normal American pop festivals. I'm talking about the psychedelic trance experience for me. Like it's liberating. You can find yourself free on the dance floor, connecting with other souls without speaking. There's a kind of a benevolence that is so undescribable.
Yeah.
That it permeates every cell of your body. And it's almost like that time when you were a child, when you experience such untarnished joy.
Yeah.
And your joy was so unbreakable. It was just you and the joy of being. And, as an adult, I want to achieve that again.
Untouchable joy. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. And it's a little bit like skirting on the edge of what is happiness.
That's a great question. You could write a book on that,
and sure, I mean, maybe somebody else is gonna find that bliss listening to bluegrass. And not everybody's gonna necessarily bliss out to the kind of music that we're bringing, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of bliss in what we're bringing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of bliss in this music, and a lot of freedom that people can achieve if they're willing to openly listen and hear with open heart and an open mind.
And on the dance floor, like, there is so much, subtle communication that goes on. Like, you don't have to be like touching anybody for a lot to be communicated. And then there is contact improv too, where it's like people do like dance in a way where they're touching each other, and a lot is communicated there too. And it's like, kind of no limit to just like the silly, almost like psychic. Like, I feel like it can go up to the psychic with Psytrance too, like the psychic dimension of communication.
I would concur. I started experiencing collective consciousness episodes at raves in the 90s before I even really got into Psytrance. It's not just Psytrance that does this. All sorts of hypnotic electronic music and hypnotic music, repetitive hypnotic, as in like the ancient shaman's drum kind of thing. It takes you on a trip, and whether or not you're on medicine or not. And that's that's what people want. They want to touch spirit. They want to touch bliss. And and then that can be found at the club parties I was bagging on earlier with the EDM music that I don't like, but nevertheless, it's still causing a lot of bliss for those listeners that are, maybe they did. Here's the thing. I had to listen to a lot of kinds of music before I learned to like Psytrance. I had to train myself to love myself before I could really cut loose to Psytrance on the dance floor. So in that sense, I'm not saying you're going to come out, if somebody just comes out to their first Psytrance party, if they are pent up and they don't cut loose, they're not going to get it. You got to cut loose and enjoy it, or you're going to think that you don't belong. But everybody belongs at these sorts of events, and we're all here to support each other's growth, whether you're different or not. We're all so different anyway. I've begun to question what normal is.
Oh yeah, like I can't even spell it.
It's a setting on your washing machine.
It's the best setting on the washing machine. Yeah, I mean, would you say like the Psytrance, like the, all night on Saturday night? It's like the music has such a rhythm, like a flow, like it's very conducive to like a flow state, whether you're on medicine or not on medicine, that maybe there's like a certain intimacy that can, get raised up, that maybe that's threatening for some people, or,
Okay, so I'll speak real quick to that, because I recommend you come out Friday if you just want to come for the weekend, because you'll work out those quirks, the awkwardness. Do I belong? Do I even like this? For me, even when I go to one of these big international festivals, it usually takes 4 or 5 days before I'm like, holy fucking shit, there's the bliss, man. Like, you literally just don't feel the weight of the world anymore. And this isn't going to happen if you just come out for a one-night party.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I'm doing a 5-day thing. You know, come out the whole freaking week, man. Like, yeah, it's a commitment of your time, but the benefits to your mind, body, and soul are just going to be freaking, you're going to notice a difference.
It is moving past entertainment. I mean, it's a wider definition that you're putting together in your description. I mean, there's fun and dance and music, but there's another, and this is why I think that the stadiums and the theaters and the big ticket, and it's a bit too regimented or sculpted to have a body of people, because I'm pretty pent up, so we'll see how I do this.
Okay, yeah,
a little bit.
We're working on that, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's funny too, because it's like when you talk about people working through that sense of like, you know, oh, do I belong with this group and stuff? Like, it's like there are people who they kind of get off, I think, on this sense of being like an outcast or being like, I don't know, like a loner or, you know, nobody understands me kind of thing, which, you know, has its own kind of endearing edge. But it's also just like a trip, right? Like, it's just like this kind of, mental trip where it's like when a person, can be in a group of people and again, just like be completely, unhinged, like in a way that feels good to them. You know, I think, most people do find that it's like, oh, actually, like, no one actually cares, like, in a positive sense, like, no one really cares, you know, what I'm doing or what I'm saying. I mean, of course, people might get triggered by, you know, this or that, but, really, it's just like, the person's own kind of trip that, you know, they think other people don't like them or that people are mad at them or that people like, you know, would prefer that they were not there. It's so silly and trivial.
But quite real.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I'm an introverted artist with a lot of talents. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really natural, especially, you know, when you start, you know, and I'm just going to speak directly to this, Brian. What we're talking about is shamanism. That's what's different about the difference between an open air festival like this and going to a concert venue. Yeah, you can have a shamanic experience at a concert venue, but when there's an altar and a place for you to go meditate, and that's, you know, sacred spaces that are intentionally there for you to advance your spirit work, you know. We're talking about shamanism, dude. And this is not commercial shit. You know, we're not like just selling shamanism or something. I'm saying this is how shamans do it. And, you know, and it's a good way to go.
And when we're talking about shamanism, like, I would say we're talking about like, you know, beings who are intimately, you know, in the sense that like, everything is frequency, like everything is vibration, like there's a very direct engagement like with the vibratory nature of, you know, quote unquote existence itself. And when you have like, you know, beings like that are cultivating, you know, an event or a space or whatever, like, it's going to be more conducive to those kind of experiences than a stadium kind of event or something like that.
Well, especially when, you know, the psychedelic culture in Colorado is huge. You look at Android Jones, for example, absolute brilliant psychedelic artist. You know, nevertheless, when I go to a Schwangel show and, you know, every fifth person smoking a DMT pen,
smoking DMT pens at the Schwangel show,
you know, and they're falling over in the crowd and like acting like idiots and like, oh, we're doing a Schwangel, you know, fuck, you know, like, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, dude, this is not a spiritual experience, really. It's, you know, it could be maybe he is have a spirit. It is a spirit.
I mean, right? Who's to say what is or isn't a spiritual?
But you know, this was an issue at rave Psytrance parties in Australia. The kids were smoking DMT on the dance floor. and like started like forgetting who they were and shit, coming back home and like having past life regression and thinking they were someone else or like came from another life. And like, like the parents started freaking out about the parties because these kids are so high on psychedelics that they don't even remember who they are, or they became another being, transmitted another entity into them or something, and like,
it's like we got a room in the psych ward, just with your name on it.
Exactly. In America, those kids would be thrown in a psychiatric clinic.
Right.
These were mostly native children who were from the indigenous tribes that use DMT, the Aboriginal people of Australia. And a lot of their children, I've heard different stories. Okay, so anyway, some of the children were disappearing and not coming to school every full moon. And it turns out the Aboriginals have a full moon ceremony. That's an absolute spiritual requirement. But, it's interesting, all around the world, every country has a different Psytrance scene. A lot of it founded out of Goa, India. If you ever heard Goa music, that was the original Psytrance.
Is Goa, like, where did that even word come from? Is that like a place?
It's a place.
Okay.
It's a beautiful beach in India.
Okay.
And I think a bunch of acid heads back in the 60s, 70s discovered it, and it's basically been psychedelic heaven ever since.
So there's a culture of Psytrance called Goa Psytrance that originated.
It originated in Goa, India, more or less. A number of artists were experimenting with similar sounds at the same time. Early Psytrance was almost like punks with drum machines, seriously. And that evolved into really beautiful rolling bass lines and like nuanced psychedelic sounds that come in and out. And like, it's really much more developed than the original years. And honestly, the punk movement, like Anarchy in the UK kind of stuff, the Sex Pistols album back in the day, they were punks. And Rage Against the fucking system kind of shit, like fuck the system kind of people.
Yeah.
And I came from that. I came from like this system's fucked up. Let's fucking get our shit together. And, I try not to have a negative attitude about the system anymore. I can't do anything about who's president, man. I don't even listen to the president anymore. He doesn't have any influence over my creative rights.
I mean, the best thing to do with the system is just forget about it.
I will vote locally because I think I have room to like impact my local government. But when it comes to the scandals that are happening on a nationwide level, worldwide, the global banking system has their fucking claws in almost every global government. There's only a few, is it Argentina? I think might be actually actual fucking good government down in South, maybe Uruguay.
Is there one?
They actually have fucking lawyers there keeping the fucking scum out.
Oh, really?
The last one.
And then they're a bit ostracized, and it's the governments that have such a clawing grip, they do make it difficult for them. But they're breaking free. There's some that are saying, no, we don't want your help. We don't want your...
Yeah, you Pepsi, you can't buy our aquifer.
Yeah.
Not that Pepsi isn't stopping trying, but... Yeah. Anyway, that's a little bit of a side. So punk, so the original stuff was kind of punky.
Psytrance came out of the punk.
It kind of came out of the punk movement. Out of the UK. I think a lot of the artists that started Goa trance were UK heads going down to Goa. But not just that. There's more history than I can explain. In fact, we're gonna have a history of Goa music movie on Wednesday night.
Get your popcorn.
Yeah, get your popcorn. Come out for the feature documentary by Cinema.
Nice.
The movie's called Goa.
I like that it has go in it. Okay. And so that sounds like that's pretty much, the whole layout, of the festival. I mean, is there any kind of integration, that people, because like they are going to be going back into all sorts of different contexts, right? Like some people are coming from more kind of mainstream settings. Some people are, coming from less mainstream settings. But like, is there any kind of, I don't know, integration on the last day, or what's that look like?
So yeah, we actually have these amazing artists playing through the day on Sunday. So we're gonna, this is what we call Sunday Fun Day. We just dance all day long. But yeah, towards the end, this amazing artist Solo Moon, he's actually affiliated with Ultime Records out of France. If you've ever heard of Psychill label,
No.
chill out label, ambient and meditative music. But he's also a Psytrance artist, and he's going to get into some old Goa music and old Psytrance from the 90s and 2000s to wind it down. And then I'm going to do a special set myself. One of my projects is called Elf Arrow, spirit name I was given from a medicine woman when I was studying shamanism in college.
What does that mean to you, Elf Arrow?
Elf Arrow. Took me a while to figure out that the reason she gave me the name and told me this story at the same time, she's like, once you become the king, you're going to have, like she said something about taking responsibility for something or another, and like, because I was in my young 20s, kind of a naive young guy when she was, this was Silver Crow. She's from a Apache tribe, a medicine woman I was studying with. And she had a dream. She was like, Elf Arrow. And then years later, I was in like touring in Spain or something. And somebody's like, oh, I just realized like your name is like El Pharaoh. Like,
yeah, I heard that. Yeah. El Pharaoh, like in Spanish, the Pharaoh.
The Pharaoh, yeah. So honestly, it's ironic because I love Middle Eastern and Egyptian bass music. Fucking love it, and that's kind of the sound I do with my Elf Arrow set. Is actually tribal Middle Eastern side bass kind of.
You're gonna play some of that on Sunday.
So we're gonna wind down, and then we'll have a fire, and everybody's welcome to integrate that night. We're hoping anybody that needs to is welcome to stay all night and gather themselves and but generally, I think in terms of ceremony, we're kind of doing a closing ceremony at noon with the Sky Portal drums. Sky Portal drums is also doing a workshop on Saturday during the day. But
what is Sky Portal like?
Sky Portal, this guy Ed Head from Serpent's Prayer up in Boulder, he's going to be coming down. During the pandemic, apparently they started doing drum circles in the park, and they became very popular, as you can imagine. Only a freaking thing to do, and. So anyway, he's going to be doing, they're actually semi-workshops. He's going to be working with other drummers, but he's going to, that'll be like incense burning and like saying expressing our gratitude, kind of like culminating, all that energy, and then kind of release that and just let the rest of the day be a little more lighthearted. We're spiritual enough here already. I'm a human too.
Yeah. What does this work for if we're not lightening up, Right on. Yeah. Well, what else? Anything else, Brian, or anything else that we haven't touched on?
Well, I like to eat every day, and so I'm gonna bring some food to this thing. But I was wondering that's just my own head spinning around.
Brian does have this ship. It's called the Sun Ship, and it will be featured at this event, and we're gonna have acai bowls.
Yes, we're definitely gonna have acai bowls. It's clean. It's easier than cleaning up the blender, and we'll have toppings for it, and we'll do that for a few hours in the morning, and then few hours in the evening, I'm hope to fire up the burners and feed anybody who's interested in coming by for some rice and vegetable and barbecued something.
All right.
Yeah.
So I know we're gonna have all sorts, vegetarians, vegans, omnivores, and carnivores probably. But we are. This is our first year doing something like this at the Sacred Lost Valley Park. And, Yeah, generally, just bring stuff to take care of yourself too. Make sure everybody brings at least a gallon of water a day.
Yeah.
That's like you have to have your own water. We're still getting that stuff sorted out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there is been a thing about me where I'm like, oh, somebody's gonna come, and it's her, and she's gonna help with the kitchen. And it wasn't long ago I got, no, Brian, no, it's gonna be just what it is. You really in something. It's not connected to women aren't connected to food any more than men. So if we got to serve it all up, us guys, I'm happy to. So I got to pass it.
Yeah, she might not be coming, and you're just gonna have to do it yourself. Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. I mean, anything else, Avery, that you want to?
Oh gosh, this has been really great chatting with you, Chriso.
Mm-hmm.
Really comfortable vibe here at the Area 420 in our box car.
A little hot, but it's gonna be cooling down. Yeah. Any second now.
Oh, I did want to mention, I don't think I said anything about our lighting engineers that are coming out.
Oh yeah, we have lasers.
We have 2 laser crews.
Oh my!
We booked Rhythm Spell lasers out of Denver, but now we've got Michael. I don't know his business name, but we have a secondary guy that's quite a professional laser guy as well. That'll all be done professionally and won't be breaking any laws. But really also excited about Wily Cat Visuals and Pixie Light. Both of them are VJs, video jockeys, and create all kinds of amazing original visual entertainment stuff for the screens. And so we're still figuring all that stuff out. We got stuff to still install on site, but we are only, I'm counting the hours till the gates open.
That's it.
I mean, what's better than like good music and good lighting in the desert, with good people, like, and good food, like.
Yeah.
Right.
Do it.
Sweet. Okay. Well, gosh, yeah. Thank you guys both so much for, taking the time. And, I hope to see everyone there August 20th, 25th, Embodied Consciousness Festival, Restival Festival. Buy your tickets today. Discount code. Get it. Get you one.
Yeah. What is that? It's the website again is embodiedconsciousness.icu. Just the letter I, letter C, letter U. And then go to the purchase tickets button. Peruse till you find the little button that says password protected tickets, and then enter the code local 2025.
Yeah, and we'll put it in the description too. All
right.
Thanks, Chriso.
You're welcome. All right, and that is a wrap.
Thank you.
It's Schneblyville Pirate Radio. Hear them radio waves aglow.